Mark is a leading authority in the marketing industry for more than 30 years. He's a globally acclaimed educator, consultant, speaker, and author. He's one of the world's most popular business-related keynote speaker and has spoken in 35 different countries. Mark has developed corporate marketing strategy for some of the most famous global brands. His blog, Grow, is hailed as one of the top marketing blogs in the world. His podcast, The Marketing Companion, has been downloaded more than 1 million times and is one of the top 10 marketing podcasts on iTunes. Mark is also well known for accurately predicted, way ahead of time, trends like influencer marketing, the rise of Instagram, the true economics of content marketing, and the elevation of personal branding. He is the best-selling author of 9 books, including most recently, Cumulative Advantage, How to Build Momentum for Your Ideas, Business, and Life Against All Odds. Mark is my guest at Marketing Leaders. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Leader. My guest today is Mark Schaefer. I already interviewed Mark in the past and I've been talking about him for many weeks and months about this amazing, actually, I'm going to share it now, but you also have it like behind as a warehouse, just because I'm a fan. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for being with me.
Yes, thank you for decorating your office so beautifully.
I hope you like it. I like the yellow card. I have more than you, by the way.
I think you're starting an important new style trend there.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about marketing trends, but yellow should definitely be part of it. So my first question, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I have plenty of questions because you really shaken up the marketing world and standards in this book. But my very first questions is I'm going to start by a quote of yours, my favorite one, actually. You pick up a book, start with the dedication, and find that once again, the author has dedicated a book to someone else and not to you. Not this time. Just because we haven't met doesn't mean we won't in a community someday. It might just be the best thing ever. So this is for you, my future best friends. Yeah. So my first question, Mark, is that's it? That's what a community is? A place where we're all going to find some new best friends?
Well, it is for me. I maybe it's a male thing. I don't know, or maybe it's me, but I mean, I don't make friends easily. And I've made more friends through community in the last 2 years than probably in the last 10. And I mean, these aren't just acquaintances. These are people who, I'm having a party at my house. I'm inviting these people to my house, right? So that's how much I think about these people and the importance of getting them together. So yeah, to me, one of the profound things I discovered while I was writing this book, and believe it or not, it kind of builds on your question, that when you have a community and people become friends, they build this emotional layer of switching costs between you and the brand. So if a lot of brand communities today, they might think, okay, well, this is a community about Lego, or it's a community about Nike or whatever. But what I've learned is the real power is focusing on the friendships. Because if this is where people gather to see their friends, then they're not going to want to leave that brand. They literally belong to that brand. If they leave the brand, then they leave the community, and they don't want to do that. So there is a very important aspect of communion and friendship that is part of a successful community.
So we're going to, of course, coming back a lot of time on this one because I think that's the core of the book. That's why I wanted to introduce that. I thought it was a perfect illustration of how you connect and how you come to such a book. Very quick question about the context of the book. Honestly, I thought before reading it that it would be like the Web3 hype, because lots of people say, yeah, Web3 enables community, so that's amazing. But actually it was not. It was truly, if I understood well, the pandemic. And I'm curious to know a little bit more about the theme. And if you can tell us more about the theme also that triggered and that leads you to such a book.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that reference. My last book that I wrote was called Cumulative Advantage. And the idea about that is every brand, whether it's a personal brand or a company brand, is a journey of relentless relevance. If you think about, an example that a lot of people would understand is Coca-Cola. People from around the world, understand Coca-Cola. And when I say Coca-Cola, you don't think of brown sugar water. Maybe you think of polar bears. I gave a speech one time in Poland, and I said, what do you think of when I say Coca-Cola? And someone shouted out polar bears. So even in Poland, people think about polar bears. Well, they can't change Coca-Cola. They have a special formula. And Coca-Cola's job 100% of the time is to find a way to make that product relevant to what's going on in the culture. And I call this finding seams. So you look for changes, trends, shifts in demographics, shift in behavior, shift in tastes that are going on where you can become newly relevant to that shift. So, it's impossible. The world, Karen, I was thinking about the biggest changes in our business world over the last 24 months has been a pandemic, a war that kind of came out of nowhere, and a ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal. And it's just like so random. It's just so unexpected. So the world isn't just changing fast, it's changing in unexpected ways. So this fight for relevance is harder than ever. We can't keep changing fast enough. So my idea is, look at what you're good at as a person or as a brand, and look at these waves coming at you and say, how do we take what we have and catch this new wave and be relevant in this moment? And I think I'm doing that, certainly in this book, because number one, here's a big problem. Here's the big shift. Traditional marketing doesn't work like it used to. That was the theme of marketing rebellion. It's like, I'm telling marketers, put down your algorithms, put down your automated email lists, and look up for a minute and see what's happening in the world and adjust to what people really want today. One of those things, community. Another big shift in the world, mental health. I think this is going to be the megatrend for the next 10 years at least. We see it in the news all the time. All right, so community, we need community. We long to belong. We have our children and our teenagers today have record levels of loneliness, depression, isolation, and worse. It just breaks my heart. And it's not just young people and teens, it spreads across every generation. So there's a big trend. People need to belong. Third trend, you mentioned Web3. It gets a small mention in my book, part of one chapter, but the fact of the matter is metaverse, Web3, NFTs, even AI. That was your quote in the book. Erin's in the book. Look, these are all technologies that help us belong. So you got these three things coming together. And for me, it comes up with this unassailable idea that this is the time for community. And community isn't new, but looking at it through the lens of brand marketing is new. And that's what it's innovative about this book. This is like the seam, the trend I'm offering to everyone. You know, this is, I think, one of the most important chapters in the book. And I spent a lot of time thinking about this, is it gets down to this idea of measurement. And people sometimes get
I
confused.
have a lot of questions like this because that's my favorite.
I get a lot of questions about this because, you know, there are really two different types of marketing. Now, marketing overall is about creating customers. We want to create customers. So we got to do research. We got to meet their needs. We got to listen. All those things we do in marketing. We got to create new products and give it at the right price and distribute it the right way. But there's two ways to do that. One is you can do direct marketing. So you can do promotions, you can do advertising, you can do coupons and discounts and all that sort of thing. And that is relatively easy to measure. So that's one part of marketing, advertising and promotion. Then there's this other part called brand marketing. And that's what I really get into in the book. And I challenge businesses to stop looking at community as just a transaction. So in chapter 3, I list, I think it's like at least a dozen different brand benefits that come through community, about brand differentiation and brand advocacy and loyalty, co-creation and collaboration, and, you know, first party customer information. And if you're, I mean, it's just mind blowing. It's mind blowing to think companies are overlooking this, that in most companies, you know, a community is just, oh, what is that thing? Yeah, maybe we need to do it. Maybe it keeps our customers happy. And it can be everything, because brand marketing is about building meaning. It's about building emotion. And that's what keeps the competitive advantage strong. Here's another example. Most people, I think, will know is Patagonia. So Patagonia, they make outerwear. They have lots of competitors, but their brand meaning is they stand for the environment, responsible outdoor recreation. And, you know, I have a friend who only buys Patagonia. He'll pay more. Now, Patagonia does not have the least expensive jacket. They don't have maybe the best jacket. They might not have the prettiest jackets or the best colors, but they stand for something. There is a meaning to that. And he belongs to that brand. Literally, he belongs to this idea, this shared value, this shared purpose. That's the basis of community. And so that's what brand marketing is about, is creating this emotional connection. And the ultimate way to do that is in a community.
Thank you for this answer. We're going to come back, of course, on the measurement part, because this is one of the gem of the book. I have a few questions, because each time in your book, it's an opportunity for learning marketing and concept and differentiation. So first, I want to come back on one, which would be the difference between community and social media. And here is very quickly my point. You have amazing quotes about this. It appears that many of our online friends are a little bit more than empty social calories. When a brand posts on social media, that was my favorite. It's like standing on the beach and throwing a message in the bottom of everything. So what it seems to me that thanks to community, we're shifting. We're confusing the end and the means. You know, the end would be seeking for meaningful connection on the side, and the means would really be the social media platform. And we tend to confuse both so far, at least until now.
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think it's a big problem in marketing today. People, you know, they think, oh, you know, I've got, my brand has 50,000 followers on Twitter. That's my community. Or I have a mailing list to my customers.
That's
That's my community.
that's the
And
point.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's an audience is part of business. Making connections on social media is part of business, but it's not a community. To have community, it's like a neighborhood. The people need to know each other.
So good.
People on a mailing list don't know each other.
Mm.
There has to be a reason to gather. So, I mean, and this is an important point for people who are considering this for the first time. And it's one of the ways that thinking about community as a marketer is non-traditional, because you know, we think of we think of an audience, and that's fine. But if we go away, if our blog goes away, if our newsletter goes away, then the audience goes away. And the community, there has to be a reason to gather. That's different than like a point of differentiation. You know, point of differentiation for Patagonia might be this fleece-lined jacket repels water better than any other jacket. Great. Put that in your ad in your catalog.
That's a commodity.
That's not a reason to gather. Right? The reason to gather is because we are the most environmentally responsible company in the world. We prove it every day. We're making change in the world, and we can do it better if you come along with us. Come along, community. We're going to make this a better world. So that's really the difference between social media, audience, community, and your purpose of community versus your point of differentiation for marketing.
That's amazing, because that was my next question: difference between a community and an audience. So we covered that. That's wonderful. One thing I wanted to ask you, you describe in the book, and I read most of your book, you know that, that community is now a marketing megatrend. And I want to connect that to some of your book, because you obviously are a marketing trends anticipator. Content shock was something big in the content marketing community. Of course, return on influence for influencer marketing, known for personal branding, all those things. Now, how would you connect all those books together? Because obviously this is a major trendsetter anticipating, you know, work.
Yeah.
And each of your books are connected all the time.
They are. And I had this realization, Karen, that, you know, if you read my books from the beginning to the end, it's like opening up, you know, how my mind is opening up, and addressing the changes in the world. You know, my first book, my first book with McGraw-Hill was Return on Influence, and the idea was the power is shifting in our world, and this is going to change everything. The power has been with advertising agencies and with editors at newspapers and all these gatekeepers. But now with the internet, people are going to create their own content, build a significant audience, and they are going to influence things, right? So this is before anybody was even using the term influencers.
It was not even ranked on Google.
No, it was 2012, and I predicted in 2 years. That's the last chapter of the book. In the next 2 years, this is going to become a mainstream marketing channel. And I was exactly right, because 2014 was the year it started to blow up. So the idea is power shifting. Now, how do we participate? We create content. So I started writing books about, you know, blogging and social media. Well, okay, what happens when everybody's creating content? Well, there's too much content. What do we do about that? The content, there's no power in the content. The power only comes when the content moves. People have to see it and share it. So that was the big idea behind the content code. How do you get content to move? All right, now the content's moving. How do we take care of that how do we take advantage of that as individuals? Personal branding. That's the book known. So it's just like it's building and building and building and building. And then Marketing Rebellion was just sort of a wake-up call for the big changes in the internet, the big changes in consumers, content, and everything is just so noisy and crowded. And marketing is sick. It's sick. We're too focused on automation and algorithms and spamming people. I mean, how did we ever get into that world? And so marketing rebellion is about put all that stuff down for a minute and really look at people and see what they need. And if you're doing marketing that people hate, stop it. And you're doing it. And double down on the stuff that people needs. And start talking about what's not going to change. People want to be acknowledged. They want to be heard. They want to be loved. And they want to belong.
Last
So
one.
that was okay. Now so that's going in my mind because I'm thinking that's the most important chapter in the book. That could be a whole book. Now, let's say now we're known, we're creating content, we're doing all our best work, we're listening to all these things that Mark said. Maybe we're doing our best work and we're still stuck because there's so much competition. How do we get momentum to get lifted to that next level? Cumulative advantage. And then my newest book is Belonging to the Brand, and it builds on this whole idea of reconnecting with people in this busy, noisy world and connecting in a meaningful way. I think community is the ultimate marketing. And the thing that's magical about it is there's no marketing. There's this beautiful, inspiring case study in the book. I was so proud to do it around Dana Malstaff. Here's this young woman who was a great entrepreneur, very ambitious. She got pregnant. And she didn't want to give up her business, but she didn't want to give up, being a fully attentive mother. And she wanted to, she wasn't getting support for really achieving both. And she talked about this with some friends in her Facebook group, and she started her own group called Boss Mom. And long story short, she's now got 80,000 people in this group. She's making almost $1 million a year.
Wow.
And she doesn't sell she has products, but she doesn't have to sell. She doesn't have to market. She doesn't worry about ads. She doesn't want to worry about branded content. She doesn't do any advertising. All the things that we think is marketing is gone. She's growing like crazy. She has a very successful business, and she's got this tight emotional connection. These people buy everything she creates because they just love her. It's the ultimate marketing, but there's no marketing.
So I got you summarize, I don't know, 10 years of books in a few minutes and find the red thread among all of them. I'm pretty proud of this one. I'm sorry. I have to. Okay.
Well, nobody's ever asked me that before, so that was good.
Okay, I'm happy. Can we understand community as the bridge between basic shopping and experience? And
Did you say baby shopping?
No, basic. I'm sorry.
Basic?
Yeah, basic.
I thought she's shopping for babies?
No. No, basic. I'm French, it's terrible. I have a bad accent. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. You have a lovely.
Okay. No, because my point is, and I'm referring to the example I liked very much in the book, when you were in this Pennsylvania macaroni company, you were not buying pasta, actually. Or neither cheese. You were really leaving something, an experience. So that connects the experience and marketing you're referring to.
Yeah. And it kind of comes back to this idea of why community, I make this sort of bold statement that it's like the last great marketing strategy. And I truly believe it's true because, we all need to belong, and that's never changed. And if you can create something that helps people belong, what else is there? Like what else does Dana need to do? She doesn't need to do ads. She doesn't need to do SEO. What else do you do? It's the end. You've got it. It's done. So I do think it's the ultimate strategy. And I mean, it kind of just made this impression on me when I walked into this store. And this was a store that's been there since 1903. My grandfather shopped at this store. And you go in, it has these old wooden floors and all the signs above the counter. They're all handwritten. in Magic Marker about their sales and what they have. And they've got this magnificent glass case with 400 kinds of cheese and
Oh,
smoked meat
wow.
and sausages from all over the world. It's just amazing. I love that stuff. So, and I'm just standing against the wall, watching people. And, these people, it's actually become kind of a tourist attraction because it's in,
Yeah,
it used to be in an area that was like really run down and just like neighborhoods, but now it's kind of a tourist attraction. They got lucky in a way, I guess. But they're in the same location, but the people come down from the neighborhoods like they've been coming down for more than 100 years to this store, and this is where they gather. And it's the sights, it's the smell, it's the warmth, it's the handwritten signs, it's the people laughing in the corner, and it's just like, I have never felt this before in my life. I hate shopping. Literally, this is what I do, Karen. I'll shop for clothes maybe twice a year. There's one store I go
yeah.
to at the mall. I park the car, I go in as fast as I can. I just look. I don't care if it's on sale. If it looks pretty, if it looks nice and it'll fit me, I just get a few things and I get out of there. I just hate it. I hate everything about it. It's just, there's nothing pleasurable about it to me whatsoever. And so when you think about what I experienced at the macaroni company, this is the way it used to be for everyone, everywhere. We would go into our village market. We would buy our meat. We would buy our fish. We would buy, our hat.
That was a moment. Yeah.
And everyone at these stores would know you. And that's why you went. Because these were your friends. These were your neighbors. You belonged in this community. If something went wrong, everybody pulled together. Nobody does that anymore. And human beings haven't changed that way. The economy has changed. Technology has changed. We still long to belong, not just psychologically, not just sociologically, but physically. I have the case study in the book that shows if you don't belong, it'll even show up in your health. So it's the ultimate strategy, the ultimate marketing, because we need it.
You're going pretty rough against but that's I mean, like, I'm okay with this against the advertising industry and the SEO industry. Just for no, but it's like, no, not industry, but it's like, I
No,
understand.
you're right.
But
I am.
I like that because it's challenging us on things that we're running and rushing to do. And my observation on that, I was wondering, it was just like, I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this, but it's not that much that they don't work anymore. I think it's more that we cannot use them both as a tactic and as a strategy, which was the case when SEO started. It was an entire strategy to rank a website. Now it's, and I would say even more now with AI and ChatGPT, it's not only a tactics among so many others. What are your takes on that? What do you think?
I think we're inexorably moving toward a post-advertising society. I mean, I don't see ads. There's one day a year ads are relevant. The Super Bowl. We see ads, then we talk about the ads and we laugh about the ads, and then we forget about ads till the next Super Bowl. SEO. I mean, we're moving toward a post-SEO world. I mean, I think my guess would be 90% of all the money spent on SEO is wasted. But companies continue to do it because SEO people are telling them they need to do it, and they have a strategy based on hope instead of data. And they keep pouring money into this because they're afraid not to. Content, same way. Content marketing, I mean, over and over again, you see statistics about, 80%, 90% of the content on B2B websites is never seen. Why are they doing it? Because everybody else is doing it. They're afraid not to do it. The ad agency, they tell them they need to do it. So, I mean, so much of marketing is just routine, and it's held, we've got these sick, antiquated practices held up by this scaffolding of agency relationships. We don't want to change our agencies. We like our friends. It's this fear of making something, what do you mean you don't need SEO? Everybody needs SEO. Well, maybe, but are you really going, are you in a field where you can really own one of the top 3 search positions on Google? And does that even matter if Google is keeping most of the inquiries themselves? And does that matter when ChatGPT is going to eat Google's lunch anyway? So, I mean, it's just,
That's
it's,
so true.
it's time to wake up. And I think what I'm offering here is an alternative. It's something that's overlooked by almost every company. And we've got to find something. We've got to find a way to tell our story. We've got to create some way to get our story to get out into the world. And, I think, the way I position community in this book, it's really the first radically new idea, maybe since SEO, maybe since the beginning of the internet and people started to figure out SEO. I think, it's a big idea. I think it's this simple. I think in any industry, there's going to be one powerful community. And it better be you. Let me give you an example from the book. It's one of my favorites. I was interviewing Alice Ferris for the book. She's creating communities for nonprofits. And just sort of offhand, she said, my go-to community is MM LaFleur. And I thought, well, I never heard of that. What is that? Well, turns out it's a retail brand. It sells clothing to like professional women. She said, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I know it's a clothing brand, but when I need help on business problems, I come into this community because it's this nurturing, honest, supportive group of women, business people, business leaders. And if she needs to test a new idea, she'll go in there and float it. Now, they also talk about clothes. They also have pictures of their wardrobe and so forth, right? But the interesting thing is, we talked about how this brand purpose intersects. So the purpose of this company, they're only going to be successful if business women are successful. Business women are only going to be successful if they get a place where they can gather and get, support and ideas. So it comes together and everybody benefits. Now, this friend of mine, she'll always shop at MM LaFleur because if she doesn't, she won't be part of this community anymore. And she literally belongs to the brand. Now, I don't know women's brands, but name some other women's brand. And let's say they wanted to start a community like MM LaFleur. Well, the people in this community are going to say, we already have that. Maybe you can come up with something else, but I love this community. I'm emotionally attached to this community. And so that's what I mean. That's a point of powerful product differentiation, is that you've got it. They don't. And now's the time to move, because now, probably every business person in America is going to read my book and they'll be starting communities. So
I like that's
now see, I hope see in your background, you've got 5 books. You held up another one. See, this is the way to do it. You should buy one book to read. Then you should have another book as an emergency backup. Then you should get another one just in case something goes wrong with that book. Then what if someone visits you? You need a book to give them. So I think you've got exactly the right number, 6 books.
there will be one niche community in your industry. It should be yours. You had a great backup example, because I say, okay, but what about if there is one already? How do I do? And you gave the solutions, and reach out to the one existing and see how you can build a partnership with him and leading the community. And you gave an actual example of yours, if I remember well. No, a customer of yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a perfect example where it was a big tech company, and they built a huge community on their website, and they couldn't get anybody to go there. And so they brought me in. I was doing some work for them, and they said, well, what do we do? So I looked around and did a little research and found there was already another community, and people were attached to that community. So it wasn't associated with a brand. It was just like a LinkedIn group or an association or something like that. So the vice president of marketing joined that community and just was helpful and friendly and generous. And within 18 months, they asked her to be an administrator of the group. So it's like, hey, it's like become mayor of the island, become mayor of the island, become mayor of the community. And it saved them so much money.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they didn't have to run their own community.
But it's very reassuring, because we all think, everybody thinks, okay, I'm going to do this. But first of all, there will probably already be one. And now you gave the solution. My second topic is the connection between community and personal branding. One thing I want to dig deeper into is that, first of all, you say, okay, community are built on trust, and trust is usually associated with a person. And then you said the community manager is the marketer. And then you said he might not be the most important person in your company, neither the most paid, the more talented, experienced, but that's the guy who's going to become friend with your customers.
Yes.
So isn't it a little bit like dangerous to connect all those three and said, okay, this guy that is not well paid, that is the one who is connected, is currently representing my brand, my community, and my business ultimately?
Well, you better pay them.
That was my take.
That's the answer.
Yeah, this one should not go.
I can remember when I was a young guy, I was in sales before I got into marketing. And that was a good thing for me to get out and learn the product and learn the customers. And we had one salesperson who was like the superstar, and he had the biggest Rolodex file. He knew everybody in the industry. And, as a business, you think that's a really important person. That's a really important asset. What if that person went to the competitor? So, I mean, when you have stars in your company, that's always a risk. It always has been and always will. And I think the bigger idea is to create stars, create more stars, find people, elevate them, nurture them, help them feel like they're connected and important and contributing, and do your best to give them the pay they deserve, the environment that they need to thrive. And I mean, that's all you can do. If they decide to leave, then they decide to leave, and you hopefully you'll have other people that can step up and do it.
A brand community is not just a business, it's a marketing strategy, it's a business strategy.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite quote of the book. But at the same time, and that's where the nitty-gritty is coming, it can be measured. So please explain, how do we build a business on a strategy that cannot be measured? Because that's shaken up all the beliefs. Of course, I know you have plenty of answers, but that is a very, very, very big idea of the book. And I want to hear you on this one.
All right. I need to get a drink from my Batman mug.
I'm sorry. Oh, wow. I thought it would be a Rise mug.
I don't have that yet.
But we need to think of it.
I have everything.
Okay.
I'm ready for anything. If I need to go out and fight crime right now, I could do it. Got my mask and my gloves.
You don't have to fight crime. You already heal the world with your community, so you're good.
All right, let's talk about this idea of you can't measure it. Let's talk about it in two ways. And let's connect the dots from some of your earlier questions about the seam and the speed of change and being relevant. Here's what's happening. I mean, the world is changing so fast and consumer expectations are changing so fast. We need to try things, new things, to connect to our customers, and we may not be able to measure it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, okay, it's just like, all right, you know, at one point, Peter Drucker's talking in my head saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And on the other side, Peter Drucker's talking in my head saying the purpose of a business is to create customers. But if the customers want something else, maybe we need to do something we can't measure.
Yeah,
So
that
Peter Drucker's rolling around in my head, arguing with himself. Here's, it is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And what I advise companies to do is say, look, take 10% of your marketing, take 15% of your budget and try new things. I mean, just experiment. You just can't stay in these old trenches. Try something on the metaverse, try something with NFTs, try word of mouth marketing, try creating a community, even if you don't know how you're going to measure it. You have to keep moving. You can either keep up with the pulse of culture or you can measure. You probably can't do both. One of my favorite case studies, it was in the Marketing Rebellion book, was this wonderful agency I love called Giant Spoon. Their slogan is, we're an advertising agency that aspires to never make an ad, and they don't. So, well, I'll tell you a news story, something else they did. I was at South by Southwest last year. I was sitting in a restaurant with some friends, and all of a sudden, people left the restaurant, went out on the sidewalk, and looked up in the sky. The whole restaurant, people left their hot food and went out to look up at the sky.
what happened?
Here's what was happening. There was a drone display advertising a new Paramount television show. And it was just the most magnificent thing. Now, how, you know, just how many times in your life has something happened, has some advertising promotion happened, some marketing messaging happened that you were willing to leave your meal and go stand out on the sidewalk? So this was extraordinary. Now,
it is remarkable.
How do you measure that? I mean, they spent big bucks to do this. How do you measure that? Did that sell the show? Now, here's what the goal was. Their goal was to win South by Southwest, create so much buzz that they have the most buzz at the most buzzy festival in America. So it's not tied to ROI. It's not, it's like, we just don't know how this is going to work, but it's different. It's bold. We can't measure the ROI of that drone. You just can't. But that doesn't mean you don't do it. So that's the first part of answering your question. The second part is you do need to tie it to money eventually, but that may not be the leading indicator of success. You know, I think that we can have a great lesson from the great French brand Sephora. Sephora, they have brick and mortar stores all over the world, in almost every city in the world. And yet 80% of their revenue comes from their online community. I estimate they're spending like over $1 billion a year on their community. And here's how they measure it: engagement. Because they say, look, engagement is a leading indicator of success, because if we're creating things in our community that people are engaging with, talking about, sharing outside the community, that shows we're relevant. We are vital to their lives. And that is the leading indicator of success. Now, me, I gave up on engagement a long time ago, right? Engagement, social media, that's a vanity metric. I've been against engagement. You can engage yourself broke. Let's say you write a blog post and 1,000 people respond to it, and you got to respond to all these things. You'll be working on that thing for weeks. Does that make money? No. So I'm very balanced when it comes to engagement. However, in a community, that's different. Marketing leadership in a community is different than other types of marketing management. And that's just one of the ways.
When I closed this book, I felt like, okay, at the end of the day, we're going above business concept here. We're going above marketing concept here. We're teaching, we're helping, we're coaching. And it makes me think that we're not talking about marketing anymore. We're talking about culture. We're not talking about shopping. We're talking about experience. We're not talking about advertising. We're talking about cultural products. So
cultural relevance.
Yeah, exactly. The question is marketing becomes coaching?
I don't think it's coaching. I'll go back to, what Peter Drucker's definition was. Marketing is about creating customers. But as the culture changes, those customers, they need new things. They need different things to create customers and to retain customers. The culture demands that we change. The problem with marketing is it's not changing fast enough, not nearly fast enough. And so we need to wake up. Customers today, they don't want to be interrupted. They don't want to be annoyed. You're just making them angry. They need you to come alongside them at their point of need, their point of frustration or anxiety. Maybe they need a teacher. Maybe they need a guide. Maybe they need a friend. Maybe they need a community. Or, maybe they just need a warm jacket. There's lots of things. The 4 Ps of marketing still work. They do,
Really?
Oh, absolutely they do. So, we can't overlook that. And, I might add a 5th P, which is purpose, because a lot of people absolutely like the Patagonia example. And that's where community comes in. People buy on shared meaning. They do on purpose. And I actually got into a big, it was a debate. I gave a workshop to some graduate students at Rutgers University. And I'm very skeptical that young people will buy on meaning and purpose. And I said, look, if you've got this product that's like Patagonia, the best environmental product, and it's $100, and you can buy this other jacket over here, and it's just as good, and it's $50, and you're broke, you're going to buy the $50 jacket. And they said, absolutely not. They just took me to the mat.
Really?
Said, yes, they did. So they took me to the mat. They said, you are underestimating how strongly people believe in this. And, it kind of made me listen. So, I think there is something there. And I think purpose as expressed through community certainly can tap into that passion.